What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. It's your girl, Karbon.
And I'm Emily, as always, doesn't change.
Doesn't change.
Still here, still Emily. What it do?
And it's still the Queer Collective podcast. Welcome aboard.
So today we're going to do a topic that I've actually been wanting to cover for a little while, because this is something that always pops up in the news kind of sporadically.
Okay.
And it's also something that I experienced a lot of growing up, and I continue to sort of feel the impacts of that.
Do tell.
So what we're going to be talking about is school dress codes.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Dress codes.
And then how that's kind of translated into my perception and just overall opinion of workplace dress codes and business attire.
That's a good transition there.
Yeah.
Your girl had a dress code while she was in school.
Yeah, and I think the interesting dynamic between this conversation will be that you went to Catholic school.
I did.
And you had to wear a uniform.
I did.
Whereas I went to a regular high school.
It's just a public school.
Regular.
Public.
Yeah. Okay. So kind of backstory a bit for me is your girl was a little bit chubby growing up, but I also developed a bit earlier. You know what I mean?
Oh, I see.
I had some bobs.
Yeah. The peaches started coming in.
Yeah.
Oh, I see you.
And this was at a time where a lot of my friends were still kind of looking like little kids.
Fair enough. So you started looking like a whammons. Quite early.
Yeah. And then just continued to keep looking like a whammon through high school and everything like that.
You never went back?
Never went back. No.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Never turned around from that.
You've never looked back, only to see how far you've come, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So really proud of how far that I've come in my post-pubescent development. Feel free to send me congratulation cards in the mail. So typically a lot of people do know that the people who develop early are the ones who get dress coded more often.
Yeah, unfair.
Yeah, totally. I would be sitting there next to one of my friends who would be wearing almost the exact same shirt as me, and then I would get in trouble, told to put on a sweater. If I didn't bring a sweater, you have to go down to the office,
Damn.
Go put on your gym clothes, something like that. And then if my shorts were too long, I'd have to put on these ugly ass gym clothes, and it's just embarrassing. It feels like you're being shamed all day. And it's uncomfortable.
That sounds pretty toxic.
Yeah.
Hey, you developed faster than the other girls. Shame on you. Put on baggier clothes and hide yourself.
Yeah. And it would be a lot of the women teachers who would be doing this to you, which feels kind of gross.
Counterintuitive.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That does feel gross. A fellow woman bashing down and putting down a little baby woman.
Little baby woman
at a young age, and trying to scar her for life. Maybe not actively trying, right? Because they think they're just following the school rules perhaps, but the internal oppression that is embedded in them and they're projecting it out at you now is so interesting, psychologically as well.
Yeah. And one thing I kind of want your take on as well is obviously majority of the excuses that these older women teachers would give me would be, it's too distracting for the boys.
That's disgusting. That's nasty.
The boys won't be able to focus. That was constantly what I got. And I didn't realize at the time how weird that is, that they're sexualizing my body as a 12-year-old, and it's
as
just
a 12, that's disgusting, man.
Totally. And all throughout high school, that same excuse always happened. You look like you're at a nightclub, you look like this, that, and it's what? Literally, there's people right beside me wearing the exact same clothes,
But because your bobs are a little bit bigger, and it looks different.
And I'm just a curvier person in general.
Yeah.
And that just makes me really upset that it's the narrative is that boys can't control themselves.
Yeah.
So that we have to have our bodies policed instead of them
just
learning.
Controlling themselves.
Exactly.
Teaching them how to control themselves.
Yeah.
No, that's nasty. this whole like rhetoric of like, well, boys will be boys and they'll do what they want, but girls, you should be careful and you should protect yourself and you should cover up and you shouldn't cause distractions. It's like, we're the burden, we're the problem.
And I feel like it then translates into this societal issue that we have of victim blaming.
Yeah.
Where rape victims are then re-victimized.
Exactly. You know how like even judges have told women is like, oh, well, you were wearing this. Oh, well, you were not
drunk.
with a friend. Oh, well, you were drunk. You were asking for it.
You went up to his bedroom, and you'd like, what did you think was going to happen in there? It's like,
what the hell?
If I didn't give my consent,
then nothing should happen.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. I think also like throughout elementary school, throughout high school, you're planting that seed of like, you can do whatever you want by policing girls' bodies. Yeah,
there's no repercussion. And then that just keeps going. It shows really the way that we treat women as a society. And it kind of then translates into so many other places where like I'm relating it next, I guess, to workplaces for me. But I also see this mirrored in like abortion rights. Everything like that, just constantly having
policing women's bodies all of the time. Yeah. It's interesting because when I was in elementary school and in high school, where I did wear a uniform, I personally didn't experience what you experience of like cover yourself up, your shorts are too short, wear gym clothes, that kind of stuff. And the only reason that I didn't is because I just don't naturally have, bigger features. I don't have like big boobs, for example, right? And my stature, my figure isn't I suppose wasn't something to overly sexualize for boys, so I kind of was able to get through high school without experiencing that, which I think was probably a good thing. But if I hadn't, I can just like, man, I didn't even experience it, and just hearing about it makes me extremely angry. And there's so many instances now as an adult where I think back to when I was a kid, and I really wish that I could have stood up for myself for certain scenarios. And some of them were very like oppressive and discriminatory. Totally. And, it just makes you realize that like when you're a kid, you're like, okay, well, my bad, I'm in the wrong, sorry, and you apologize and you change things about yourself. When you're an adult, you're like, I really wish that I could have talked to that teacher and like told her what's up, or something like that.
You wish you had the vocabulary at the time, but
yes, and the confidence and the empowerment. They don't teach you how to be empowered in school.
The frustrating thing is a child, like a 12-year-old child, which I was, shouldn't have to do that.
Definitely not.
You shouldn't have to.
You shouldn't have to, because then you're like, as a 12-year-old, these teachers are telling you, hey, you're a sex symbol now.
Yeah.
And that's disgusting.
Yeah. And I'm like, is that why I started like feeling like I was over-sexualized and that like men really only wanted one thing from me? And it like, I do think sometimes that may have had an hand in warping my perception, I guess, with relationships with men.
I mean, who's to say like how potentially different it could have been if you weren't over sexualized from a young age?
Or if there was someone there, I guess, like to stand up for me.
Absolutely.
It's definitely frustrating.
It's frustrating. We need more people standing up for things that are just messed up like this.
Yeah. Do you feel, I know that you didn't experience it personally, but did you see like other girls at your school getting like dress coded?
Yeah, absolutely. I did have friends that definitely developed more than me, I suppose, because I never fully grew into myself. I still have room to grow, guys. I'm trying to make it happen.
Oh my god.
But no, definitely, like girls with like really big boobs, for example, like they would walk around wearing the exact same shirt as me. Again, this was uniform, right? And
isn't it like a polo shirt?
It's a polo shirt, and then we would have like our polos, we wouldn't button them up because back in the day we're like, that's nerdy.
Yeah.
Nowadays kids are like, aha, buttons. But yeah, so we would have it like completely open, and if you had a big chest, then that would be like showing more.
Yeah.
And then a teacher would stop that girl and be like, put a sweater on, because your boobs are sticking out of your shirt. And it's like, I can't help it. I'm wearing literally the exact same thing as everyone else because there's a dress code, and you're still sexualizing me.
That makes it almost more frustrating to me. Like, I felt like I was wearing the same thing as other people, and maybe it would have been like a bit of a variation, but literally at your school people are wearing the exact same thing.
You can't even be like, oh, she's pretty much wearing the same thing. No, it's like the exact same shirt, exact same shorts, pants, etc.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, the guys at the high school would be able to walk around, not inside the school, but say like outside or like playing sports or whatever, or even in gym class, completely with their shirts off. Yeah. And that's fine for them. But for us, cover it up to the neck.
Yeah. What is with that? Like, I had the same experience too, where it's like guys would often have their shirts off, or they'd have those big ripped shirts where it's like you could see the whole sides of their body.
Like the bodybuilder shirts.
Yeah. And it's like, what is with this double standard? It's really, really frustrating.
Such hypocrisy.
To me. So frustrating to me. But the way that I feel like this has then translated, I guess, into my perception of workplace uniforms is I just have this huge rejection now of people telling me what to wear and what I can't wear.
Yeah. No, me too. And I didn't even like experience everything that you did, but I also feel that. Like, I would say ever since like 5 years ago, that's where I started feeling like I'm gonna wear what I want to wear. And I'm still gonna, it's my dress style is quite tame, just naturally. But even if it wasn't, I'm just gonna wear what I want to wear to work. And if like that workplace is not okay with it, considering still that my appearance is very tame, like there's nothing like crazy happening. It's usually just like a shirt or whatever. But if you're like not okay with that, then I'm not gonna work there, basically, is what I told myself. And that's kind of like what I came up with. And here we're very much able to do that. We can wear whatever we'd like, and it's celebrated, and it's great. And in my previous job, Myo Detox, even though it was still like, you wore your little Myo Detox shirt, if I wanted to wear like bike shorts, that's cool. Long pants, that's cool. You could come in wearing a skirt, and that's cool. And it was fine. Like, the business didn't change. The business didn't receive fewer clients because somebody's wearing shorts instead of pants. Yeah.
No, I hate this idea that your, I guess, qualifications, knowledge, expertise changes depending on what you're wearing.
Man, that's so stupid.
Yeah. And recently, Rhiannon, who we talk about a lot, she's our boss at Conscious Economics, but also just like our mom as well.
She's our work mom.
It always sounds so weird when we call her our boss because that's not really what the relationship feels like. But she does a lot of like features, I guess, on the news, kind of talking about women in the workplace, she session, that kind of stuff. And anytime, like, sort of her signature look, I guess, is wearing that like wide brim hat.
The hat, that's her, just like the hat.
Yeah, it's like the same way that I'm always wearing my like leopard print bike shorts, and like my ugly tattered Converse. Like, it's just like people have their things.
Yeah, they have their things that they like to wear all the time.
Makes you feel
like
safe.
Makes you feel safe, makes you feel like it's part of your identity. You just feel good in it,
Totally.
Like when I wear bucket hats, I feel good.
Yeah. But she started noticing that when she did wear the hat, CBC and like the other news stations, whatever, wouldn't post the clip on their social media afterwards. But when but when she wouldn't wear the hat, they would always post it. And like, this was like always, it never veered away from this.
Wow.
Which is crazy. And then
she's wearing a hat. No, take it down.
Yeah. And then she also noticed there was like a lot of really mean, negative comments and that sort of stuff from people. It's like, why do you have this person on? Like, they look like a child. They look like this, whatever. Like, really commenting on her appearance as if that impacts her expertise, her skill set, and what she's saying. Yeah. And that's really frustrating to me. And then her sort of like PR person who books her these gigs told her that someone had come out to her and said, why do you let your client like wear these hats on the news? You know, like it looks so unprofessional. And I just don't get it.
This like skewed view of what professionalism is, we gotta like take that down. Like,
I hate it.
What is it like? Okay, say I'm wearing a blazer, which I don't even own. I don't own a blazer. But say I'm wearing a blazer. Okay. And I'm wearing like a blouse with like a button blouse.
I can't picture you in a blouse and a blazer.
I almost threw up just now. And
I just never even imagined the word blouse coming out of your mouth.
It sounded wrong. Really weird.
Yeah.
I was like, a blouse. A blouse. And
I keep painting that picture for us.
I need to take a bath later. And then, you know, maybe I'm wearing like glasses like I'm studious.
For sure.
The hair is done nicely.
Oh, wow.
I'm not even wearing my curls. I straighten my hair.
Oh, who is she?
Someone who's trying to be white. And then yeah, and like like little heels, and like dress pants, but like women dress pants, not like the cool kind that I like dance in. Mm-hmm. And I walk in and they're like, oh my gosh, she's so studious and she has all this knowledge and expertise. I really talk a good game as well, and I actually do. Yeah. And then they give me the job, but I walk in wearing something, say like what I'm wearing now, just a shirt, maybe my hair's in a ponytail, or maybe it is just like nice curls, that kind of stuff. They probably, like at a corporation, they probably wouldn't give me a job at all. And it's because of that. It's because of no matter how much knowledge, experience, or desire to do the job that I have, they're not going to hire you if you don't look the part. Yeah. And that's just like facts and disgusting at the same time. Like, I understand there's like a certain line of like, okay, like maybe, you know, wearing pajamas to work just isn't, maybe don't do that. Maybe wearing like stilettos to work, I'm not sure, depends. Some can be classy, honestly, but you know, there's certain items where I'd be like, okay, maybe we can like not do that. Maybe we can step it up a little bit. Maybe not wear pajamas. Maybe wear like another shirt or something. Yeah. Right. But when it comes to like a hat, for example, like wearing a hat on the news, like what a crime. Yeah.
No, that is so frustrating to me. And like, I do agree that there is a certain level of like put togetherness, I guess, that you should look like when you're working with a client. Like, just because you want to project that you are organized, and it's like showing up in your pajamas, like, obviously
not look a mess, you know, but then we start to get into like this gray area of like, okay, you don't look a mess, check, but after that, how far do you take it?
Yeah. And for me, the frustrating thing is these stories of women, similar to Rhiannon's case, where it's like you are dressed professionally, but you're just wearing like bright colors. You're expressing yourself. You're like expressing your personality. Yeah. And
even that, oh my gosh, I cannot understand that at all.
It makes me like so upset.
If a woman wears like a bright, maybe like a red dress, an orange dress, yellow dress, that's considered inappropriate versus like a gray, navy blue, or black dress. Yeah. And that's considered classy.
Yeah. I saw this woman on TikTok. I've gotten onto like dress code TikTok, I guess, because this like is
dress code TikTok
surrounding my life. But there's this woman who all of her fits looked super cool. Like, she styled it really, really well. I was like, if I ever had to work a corporate job, that's what I would want to look like. Like, I would still want to be
just like fun
myself,
it's like together, but like fun,
expressing myself,
some personality. Yeah,
like, honest to God, clothes is such a big way for expressing myself to me. And if I had to wear the same gray outfit every day, I would feel so wrong. I would feel so wrong. But this lady said that when she went in, like she had been wearing these outfits and like showed a couple of the different ones. They all looked fire. And someone told her that her outfits are too loud.
Wow.
Yeah.
Too loud.
Yeah.
Sorry. A woman must just stay quiet, stay silent. You know, like, oh man, I know that when I was growing up, throughout certain parts of my life, there was several instances where I was told that women look prettier when their mouth is shut.
Really?
Yeah.
Who told you that?
I actually, it's like random people, like you wouldn't know. It's not really relevant to the story, but there's many instances where I've heard that. And it was disgusting. And at the time, I didn't know how to deal with it.
Obviously.
So I would just like let it slide, let it roll off my shoulder. I was like, meh, whatever, that's your opinion. It doesn't matter. And I never stood up for myself. I never stood up for fellow women. I never, wanted to pick a fight. I just didn't want conflict because I thought that the conflict was more trouble than it was worth at the time. And that's one of those instances where I wish that I could like go back in time and really show up with how I am now, with more confidence, more empowerment, more certainty of myself, and just be like, that's so wrong, and like really state my point and as to why that's wrong. That's because not only are we already trying to get everybody, men or women or non-binary folk, to be freaking robots all the time, wear the same outfit, live in the same house that looks like everybody else's, and buy the same stuff that we tell you to buy because we're marketing to you. Like all this like robot culture, this corporate robot culture where it's like wear only this gray, navy, blue, or black, and only do this. And if you're at work, you can't go on Facebook or YouTube or Google. Like you can only, like your computer is disabled from that because we don't want to distract you from the real important stuff.
I hate it.
It's like, it's so like you're taking away more and more of that person's humanity until they feel so numb and fully buy into this fake thing that you're trying to sell them. And
capitalism.
The
thing you're selling them is capitalism.
But it's more than just capitalism. It's control over people.
But all of that is what capitalism is. It's like the employer controlling the employee and using them as like more so just like a means to an end.
It is a means to an end. Like we're just cogs in the wheel to them.
Yeah. And that is so frustrating to me. Like, yes, a lot of these jobs that people are doing are important. Like, I don't want to just bash on 9-to-5 jobs because I'm a creative person and it's not for me. Like, there are some people who...
It's not the job itself, though. It's the way that, like, you have to show up for that job.
Totally.
It kills any personality that you have. It kills any creativity that you have.
Yeah.
Any individualism. You're just another robot for their operation. Yeah. It's not the job itself. Like, the job itself could be really fun and creative and like really meaningful to someone. It's more so like the way that they're forcing you to show up as not yourself, as this like tame, acceptable, safe version of you.
Yeah. Yeah. No, completely. And I hate that. I hate it.
I know, me too. I hate it with a passion.
What is your stance on tattoos?
Tattoos, man. Yo, I grew up thinking that if you have tattoos, you're probably not a good person and you probably won't get a good job.
Exactly. Like that narrative is so shoved into your head. Like
shoved into my head.
Don't get any any tattoos like on your arms. You got to make sure that nothing's showing when you give a handshake.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely don't get a hand tattoo.
You'll never get a job
ever.
Yeah.
That's what I grew up thinking as well.
Yeah.
And my stance on tattoos is like, who cares? I think it's all about, at this point for me, just personal preference. Like, for example, if you have a bunch of face tattoos, then I might be a little bit more hesitant to be like, is this a good person for the job? And
why is that?
See, that's the thing, because it's still ingrained in me, even though I'm trying to get rid of it.
Yeah.
There's still like okay, now I'm like more into tattoos and more into tattoos, and yes, let's bring them on. And then for some reason, for me, it stops at like the neck and face. Like for me, arms, great. Legs, great. Hands, great. Chest, back, whatever, awesome. When it gets to the neck and face, then like that wiring comes back in, and I start to be like, oh, I don't know, is this safe? Like,
do you think it's like the negative connotation associated with it, that it's like gang members that have face tattoos?
Yeah, I think so, because that's originally like not as much anymore. But originally when I would see those kinds of tattoos, it would have that link to like gangs or like drug dealing and that kind of stuff.
And that's what like the characters on TV shows would look like. That's where you're seeing it. It's not like we see these people IRL.
IRL.
You know, like it's all these TV shows and the media kind of feeding it to us. So I guess it does depend a little bit on the nature of your tattoos. Like, is there something like homophobic written on your face? You know,
that's fair.
Like the nature of that tattoo, I think, does matter.
Fair enough.
Yeah, to a certain extent. Like, is it aggressive?
Is it aggressive? Like, do you have
a swastika on your forehead? Yeah.
Then, you know, in that case, then no, I don't want you on my team.
So I definitely don't think that I'll ever work somewhere where I need to dress in a way that isn't me. Like, it just feels so freeing to work here now. Even when more corporate people come in, I like the space that we've curated, it doesn't feel like I can really be judged in here. And that might be the nature of our work. When someone is hiring a videographer or like a videographer team
just
or a designer,
creative,
they maybe expect it.
When you hire a creative, I feel like you sign up for, you know, something maybe like a little bit wacky, whether it's like their hairstyle or their clothing style or like whatever, because you know that creative is going to express themselves like no matter what. So I feel like you kind of sign up for it a little bit.
The annoying thing to me, though, is that there's more to me than just that. Like, I have a lot of opinions on things. Like, I am an educated person, and I can have like a serious conversation with you. And that isn't just about creativity and art. And that kind of like, I guess, ties back into the story about Rhiannon, where it's like, if you're dressed like an artist, if you're dressed creatively, which like she is a creative, but she also has been the CEO of the Economic Club of Canada for years and years, and is
but you're not taken as seriously when you dress creatively. You know?
And that is just frustrating to me. That's something that I want to end.
Yeah, let's end that. What are your thoughts on this whole mess of a dress code? Like, is it good? Is it bad? Are you somewhere in between? Definitely want to know.
Yeah, I'm very interested. Obviously, there is like some gray area there.
There's definitely gray areas. Like what we mentioned about like tattoos in the face being associated with certain things, and like maybe you know, not wearing pajamas, that kind of stuff. There's definitely like, I would say, certain lines still even within like a more expressive dress code. But that's where it's like, you know, it gets a little bit tricky, and that's why I want to know your thoughts.
Totally. Yeah, and I feel like that's kind of why it's gotten to this place of just no one can express themselves at all, because like HR doesn't want to deal with case by case basis.
Oh yeah,
you know, like they're like, don't everyone just dress the same thing. These rules apply to everyone. Do not come at me with anything.
Yeah,
please. You know?
It's like too much paperwork, too much work,
and that causes people to not be treated like human beings with feelings and thoughts and expressions.
Creative expressions. If you're in accounting and you wear a gray suit every single day, you still have expression. You're an individual. You're not a cog in the wheel, even though they might treat you like one, potentially. And it's not, you're not any less of an accountant if you wear a red blazer versus a gray one, or like a yellow one, or like, you know, something fun. You accessorize. Like, you're not less smart. You're not less capable, you know? So what's the giant deal behind this, you know? Like, what's the big deal? And like, I know that another thing, just as like I suppose a finishing thought, is that part of the reason why these rules are implied is because also the customer also has that embedded in them,
Yeah.
right? The customer will look at an accountant, say, that is wearing a gray suit, and they're like, cool, like, I trust you to do my taxes.
Yeah.
And then maybe they'll go to one that's wearing like a fun outfit, still professional, but very fun, or loud, as they like to call it. And then they might be like, I don't trust you. You look like you have too much fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's embedded in society. So there's a root issue. It's not just a matter of like all the corporations being like, okay, everybody wear what they want, because it's also a matter of like society.
Yeah. And I think the cool thing is that is starting to change with our generation. Like more and more young people have sleeve tattoos and they wear them to work, you know what I mean? And it's like, we like to dress fun and we're not really willing to accept all of this. And as people are trying to recruit like millennials, Gen Z, like these types of people into the workplace, because baby boomers are obviously retiring, like you need to start attracting these people. Yeah. And that's why they're adding like fun things, but these workplaces need to start evolving. But that's also why
they're evolving too slow, in my opinion.
Some of
they're
them
still catering
definitely
to like boomers and Generation X, I believe, which is our parents.
Yeah.
They're still not catering to the new generation, but like that's the future, so get on it.
Yeah. But that's still also why people or companies like CBC won't post that of Rhiannon because of the comments. They see that it's negative. People aren't interested in hearing what she has to say because of the way that she's dressed. And
because of a hat.
And that's technically the customer, you know? So,
technically, yeah. Then again, nobody that's our age is really watching the news. So I guess...
Which is a problem for them, though.
Yeah.
They need to evolve.
That's exactly. Nobody's watching it
Attract
because they're still doing the same thing for the same audience. So this new audience that is coming up is just not getting it because they're not getting it.
Totally.
You know?
Yeah. And it's like, if they don't want to go extinct, they need to evolve. That's what it's all about.
Like I always say, the world is constantly changing. Feel free to stand still, but don't.
Do you always say that?
I always say it. It's actually, you know what? It's actually something that I always say in my head.
Really?
So you never hear it, but I always say it.
Okay, I trust you.
It's like, yeah. I was like watching this YouTuber dude talking about like, it was a financial channel, whatever. I know it's boring, but he was getting comments of like, hey, like I thought you said you were like all in on this stock and now you're buying new stocks. What's up with that? And he was like, the world's constantly changing. Feel free to stand still. But I'm going to do what's smart. Yeah. And so then that kind of stuck with me well, it still does. So for all of the times that I've said it.
Love it.
So
but that's just our take. I'm really excited to hear yours. We really love when people comment and give us their opinions.
Yeah, for sure.
Whether it be on Instagram, on the little clips we post, or on the YouTube video itself, we really love to hear from you. And like, comment, subscribe. Yeah.
And make sure you hit that notification bell so that you get the updates whenever we drop a post.
Hell yeah. Because we make these videos every single week, but we've also been posting a lot of musical content.
Hell yeah.
Our Out Loud series is out right now. And if you don't go watch it, that feels a little bit homophobic. That's what I'm going to leave you on. And I'm going to stare you down. I'm going to put the video right here. And if you don't click it, it says something about you and your values.
Did you click it? All right. We'll see you in the next pod. Peace.